In the year since 1 October, we've heard stories of hope, strength, and unity. That's where we focus our coverage. Tonight, we present 1 October Storytellers. You'll hear from our neighbors affected that night in their own words. Our next storytellers told us about how family and fate turned to friendship.
I'm a trauma surgeon at UMC. General Surgery Board, so we have a written test and an oral test. I found out I passed that on September 27th.
Oh, so you were brand new to UMC.
Yeah, it was new. I'd had a couple of surgeries throughout the day. One of them went pretty late, so I don't think I got home till like 8:30.
We have multiple victims shot.
And the trauma alerts that came through were like gunshot wound, gunshot wound, gunshot. But I didn't, I was just at home. And then I got called shortly thereafter, and they just kind of said there was a shooting, a mass shooting. If you can come in, please do. So I just kind of got out of bed, and then I just went in.
We kind of made a weekend out of it and stayed down the strip. And it was more or less kind of our rehashing of one of our first dates.
And we had gone the previous year to Route 91.
We were like in that front right section. It was that third round where I got hit.
There's multiple casualties, stage right on the concert floor.
We need to get to those ambulances, and when we get there, all three of them take off. We try and get into the back of a truck. That takes off.
Without her, I don't even make it into a police officer's car because she was the one pushing me to get up.
Hey, I feel useless. I'm gonna start transporting people.
He puts me in the back seat. I'm laying on my side, and Officer Dobbins took me to the right hospital.
Let's go.
When I got there was a number of people in kind of the waiting area. People were being triaged.
There was people lined up and down the sides of it.
I was just trying to see if there was anybody that didn't look right.
He was having trouble breathing.
Quiet, laying flat. He was pale.
He seemed like he was walking in very nonchalant, like laid back, kind of calm, and I was thinking, this guy seems very calm, way too calm.
I probably did look calm, but it's like a duck on the water where their legs are like paddling underneath. And really, I'm very nervous.
Then he stopped and said, this guy needs to go next. It felt like he just stopped out of nowhere.
You just kind of fall back on that training.
Immediately get wheeled right in, and next thing I knew, woke up a couple days later.
I grew up in Woodbury, Minnesota.
I am originally from St. Paul, Minnesota. You could walk across the street from St. Paul to Woodbury. The second my dad saw your name, he knew exactly who you were.
I guess it starts with our grandparents.
Mm-hmm.
They went to the same church, and then our parents, my dad and your mom, went to grade school together.
Yep, up until high school.
Yeah.
And then your uncle...
Steve is my uncle.
He's worked with my dad for like 40 years. I went to high school with your cousin.
And my grandma was calling and asking how he was doing.
He had already been entwined in my life, and he didn't even know it.
It's pretty incredible. It's certainly the most unique thing that I've had in my career. I don't think I'll ever see anything like this again. Incredible coincidence, intervention.
People can call it whatever they want. There's too many things that kind of tie in to be anything other than that.
For us, it's celebrating life. For us, it's that Phil survived this and that we got through this. But you can't help it that that so many people aren't able, they may not ever be the same because of it. And that is a difficult part, I think, of especially coming to the one year mark.
You want to take care of people. That's why I went into the field. When people are in need and you're called, you're happy to help. You're happy that you can help. There's a personal satisfaction, but then there's also, a lot of people who didn't make it that you just feel awful about. And it's a very awkward feeling, and I haven't entirely been able to work through it.
A lot of times it starts off, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm so sorry you had to go through that. For me, it's almost hey, congrats. Congrats, you made it through that. People who will say, I had the worst, this is the worst year ever. We talked about that as it came 2018, and it's like, it wasn't the worst year ever. I mean, I've never been involved in a mass shooting and survived, so it officially is the greatest year ever.
We were able to move forward, and we're not going to allow this person to take that away from us.
Without three of them, I don't make it out of there because, Allie was the one who got me to the Officer Dobbins. Officer Dobbins is the one who got me to the hospital, and Dr. Dickhoot's the one who got me to a place where I wasn't dying.
He said it doesn't make me love him anymore. I already loved him as much as I could, but definitely makes me never want to lose him.
Have you guys set a wedding date?
July 14th.
Yes.
Dr. Dickhoot is on our guest list. He will be there. We'll always be grateful for him.
One of those people that forever will be in my life.
Philip and Allison still keep in touch with Officer Dobbins as well, and were there when Officer Dobbins was honored with an award for his service. We'll be right back. Our first storytellers told us about faith, love, and lasagna.
I moved in 1996. I came here from New York, Brooklyn.
I moved here to Las Vegas in 2002.
I am a production tech.
Retired educator. I did end up joining the church, and that's when I kind of met this guy.
We were actually friends first. October 1st kind of just like changed everything. Our company does shows, concerts, conferences. I was on stage, on the side, but when the artists come on stage, you know, I show them where to stand and make sure all of their instruments and what have you is there. She invited me to dinner because I said, no, I can't leave.
He refused me.
Yeah. First of all, it's a great show. I'm in love with country music. At this point, it's an easy job. You're just on stage helping the artist. But then she said she was making lasagna.
I just don't know why I decided to cook it that night.
I think I was on 2 days of full overtime, so I was like, I'm not leaving work. But she said lasagna, Italian food, and that was it. I went to her house. I kind of dozed off on the couch after I ate. You know, I woke up, I checked my phone. The kids were calling me and asking me, was I at Route 91? And I said, yeah, I left there about 3 hours ago.
When we turned on the TV, it's like, oh my goodness. Are you kidding me? It's like it's happening again. There's another tragedy.
And I was like, I was just there. I was just there. But I was like that. Some guilt, some remorse. Could have been me. Easy. It had to be God because I wasn't that good or that smart to meet up with her like that. So it took some intervention. He pulled me out of there. He brought us together. And we never left each other since then. We just fell in love instantly.
We weren't looking for love. We put our faith in love, our trust in love, and our trust and love for one another. And that's what that day did for us. There's no more time to waste. We have to be thankful for what we have. We need to be thankful for one another. We need to be thankful for what God has provided for us and live our lives. Just be the best version of ourselves that we can be and do it together.
We don't have girlfriends at our age. We're in our 60s. We said, so we thought about getting married, and she picked the date, actually, October 1st.
Our hearts still break for those that did not make it and those that are still in pain. But at the same time, I'm so thankful that he listened and came to dinner. And I believe that kept him out of harm's way. And that's how I feel about it. And so I want to honor that day. That's the day that God gave him to me.
Those first responders, my gosh. When there's danger and everybody's running away from it, that's real easy. To run toward it, that takes special people. That takes special people to run toward things. So we're going to honor them at our wedding. It's part of our story.
They are a part of us.
Yeah.
They don't even know it, but they're a part of us.
They're part of our story.
Gave us a new foundation for love, a new reason to love, a reason we hadn't had before.
I love you more than you would ever know.
John and Constance are getting married tomorrow evening at Mandalay Bay.
Over the past 2 nights, we've heard from our 1 October storytellers, people impacted by 1 October and how they move forward. We conclude with Metro Sergeant Justin Van Nest. Van Nest was assigned to the Route 91 festival that night. He tells us about the doubts he's had to overcome and how he finds therapy in his new mission.
I'm Justin Van Nest. I'm a sergeant with LVMPD. The night of October 1st, I was working overtime. A special event. It's kind of like a lottery system when we get overtime, so I was happy to have the gig. Once Jason Aldean came on stage, it was a little later in the night, so we had a couple issues outside the gate. A little disturbance with somebody in a taxi or, something like that the officers were handling. We ended up out there on Las Vegas Boulevard. There's a wall that runs between the boulevard and the venue, and then there's a gate to get in the venue. So after we handled that situation, the four of us walked slowly back toward the intersection where Mandalay Bay and Boulevard kind of meet. So as we're walking up there, we start to hear the first few initial shots. A couple more volleys of gunfire, and I realized that this is something different. It's not something where somebody's doing quick shooting and trying to get away. It's something that's staying, and somebody's doing some harm. And we slowly started walking toward that intersection. We made it up to a wall where there were several citizens that they didn't really know which direction to flee in. I had a lot of people that were trying to jump over the wall. We tried to prevent that. We didn't know exactly where it was coming from yet, but we knew it was that direction, so we wanted to keep them, don't go that way, at least run away from the fire the opposite way. We knew those shots were close, and I told the guys, hey, he's actually targeting us. He's shooting right at us. We turned around and took some cover behind that wall while the gunfire was coming down.
We got shots fired 4:15 at Route 91. Sounded like an automatic firearm.
By that time, Casey and Tara ran back to me, and Casey had suffered a wound to his neck.
I got an officer with a gunshot wound to the neck.
I thought maybe he got cut with a rock. I shined my flashlight on it, put him against the wall, said, hey, Casey, let me see that. And I told him, it's just a nick, buddy. You're going to be okay. I think in hindsight, maybe it's good that I didn't freak him out and tell him, yeah, you got a serious wound to your neck. But he stayed in the game for a while and helped us escort those citizens to safety before he got himself help. I thought about my family. For a split second, they popped in my head as I was hearing the gunfire and the image of my family, thinking about seeing them again, and then immediately gone because your training kicks in and you got a job to do. And that you got to subside that right now, maybe think about it later, but it's not going to do you any good in this moment. And, you got a job to do, you got a mission. When I got home that day, that was probably the happiest we've ever been to see each other, for me to see my kids. It just changed things. But for me, my main thing is now I've transitioned to more, what can we take from this? I want the next sergeant that takes a position like that, the next officer, how can I make them a little bit better than I was that day? I feel challenged. I feel that right now, 1 October, it's been less than a year. I think for some it'll kind of fizzle out and go away, and people have taken a deep breath and decided, okay, we had our event and we can move on with life or, do whatever. And I think some people take the other approach that we don't know when this could happen again. There was certainly a time that, I questioned myself, my actions that night. Was there more that I could do? Because at the end of the day, no matter what kind of success we had and how brave people were that night, a lot of us still questioned ourselves, and I certainly did. We still lost 58 people. People in this valley and surrounding states lost their loved ones. There's no changing that ever. I don't know that many of us are satisfied. I don't know if we ever will be, even if we did everything we wanted. And I think the biggest thing for me that replayed in my head is what could I have done better that night? That took a long time to kind of decide what's done is done, and we did the best we could. The only thing we can do now is get better. I think that's really how I've coped. Yeah, I've always loved my job. I've always had a passion for police work, but I don't think I ever have like I do now. I think now more than ever I feel that this is what I was meant to do, and I'm in the place I'm supposed to be in. Probably more than I ever have as a police officer. Just a few weeks ago, actually, Casey Clarkson approached me and said, hey, I got something for you. It's just northwest coordinates for where we were at on that intersection that night. When I look at it, I think, it reminds me that the four of us were down there together. Reminds me that all four of us are still here. And we continue to get to be blessed with life today, so nothing could be as bad as it was at that moment. At the end of the day, I'm home, I'm here, I survived.
Van Ness says the heroes that night were the concert goers and other individuals who jumped in to help. He also says a lot of combat veterans were at the concert who helped create calm. He says the outcome would have been much worse if not for all those people who stepped up. We'll be right back.
1 year ago, we met Bob Patterson at a makeshift memorial on the Strip, honoring his wife Lisa, who was killed in the shooting.
I just told my wife how great she was to me and how she was the most beautiful thing and had the greatest smile and was such a warm, caring person. There was nobody that cared more about people and life more than my wife, Lisa.
Robert, I'm so sorry for your loss. I'm at a loss for words. I know this must be extremely difficult for you.
I don't know what to do. I'm just, that's why I'm out here so early in the morning. So I'm lost right now.
Thank you for talking to us and giving us your time.
I appreciate it.
October 1st, 2017 was the start of a new life for Bob and his 3 kids. Brooke, almost 9 now, Amber, who's turning 20, and Robert, a senior in high school. Bob and his son sat down with us to tell us how they've been able to move forward in the last year.
I didn't know what the year was going to hold for us. We still have really, really hard moments rather than hard days or hard weeks, but there's not a day that goes by that I don't have one of those moments where it just hurts.
It started out disastrous, but then it got better, and then right now I'd say we're doing okay. We all had to just recuperate and learn how to live this new life again.
For Bob, that new life means learning how to be the father and mother to his kids.
I can't fill her shoes. It's such a hard thing. I try. She was so dedicated to her children and just,
She'd always be there for me, even when I'd have a 2.5-hour away football game. She'd be on the car right behind the bus traveling along.
Robert says his grades suffered after the shooting, but his high school football team helped distract him from reality.
Football was a big depression reliever and stress reliever for me.
While Bob says some of the biggest changes,
it's different. It really is.
Are some of the smallest things he never gave much thought to.
I turned into the shopper, the clothes washer, the cleaner. I hadn't even paid a bill for 25 years. I do it all now. That's probably why I've lost so much weight, because I don't stop.
To be able to say they're okay now has come with a lot of support.
I got letters from all over the country.
We're all just passing them out and stuff, and they're all just full of love and support, and Brooke gets stickers sometimes, and Amber got necklaces, and it's super cool.
We had dinner brought to us for 3 months.
And much of that support came from our community.
Oh my gosh, there's just so many. Cheryl and Nicholas from Southwest Airlines, Patrick from the mortuary, Chief John Clausen, another lady that works for the fire department, her name is Kathy.
They've all made it the best that they could for us, and we can't thank them enough for that.
It's what I call my collateral beauty. And so, every time something bad happens, some good things will come of it, and that's what it is for me.
So as they still deal with the pain of the bad, they are looking toward the future with more good to come.
My family's my main focus right now.
I try to make it as easy for you as possible because I know you do so much for us.
Yeah.